Hello friends, welcome back to the Art Room with Mr. Eck. Today we are learning about one-point perspective. One-point perspective is a method of drawing where you use straight lines and rulers and something called the vanishing point to show distance and space in your artwork. So the style of artwork we are going to be making today with one-point perspective is called non-objective. There are three styles of art if you break it right on down. There's realistic artwork. That is artwork that looks exactly or as much as possible like real life. Number two, option two, there is abstract art. Abstract art is art where you could still tell what the subject is. A dog still looks like a dog. I mean, you could tell it's a dog. But the artist has used their imagination to somehow change up the way the dog appears. Sometimes it could be made out of cubes, it could be made out of broccoli, I mean, whatever. That, as long as you can still tell it's a dog, that is abstract art. The third type is non-objectional art. Non-objectional art does not have a picture of a dog. It's just some squares, some circles, some lines, some dots, some colors, and it's not even supposed to look like a dog. It's just some line shapes and colors. I've actually taught this wrong for a few years. I used to call that kind of art abstract art, but that doesn't really fit. Abstract art, you could still tell what it's supposed to be. So we're going to be making non-objectional art today with one-point perspective. So let's get right to it. So to create a one-point perspective drawing, you first need a point. So somewhere around the middle of your paper, draw a point. Technically the point doesn't have to be in the middle, but since this is our first time doing this, at least in my class, let's just keep it in the middle. Now I want you to draw 4 or 5 shapes around the point. Don't make them too big, don't make them too small, just kind of medium-sized shapes. I'm going to do 4 because that's going to leave me more space to work with for other things, which you'll understand in a moment. So I'm going to draw a circle. Draw a triangle, and draw a rectangle, and just to make things challenging, I'm going to draw a star. You'll understand why that's challenging once we start connecting everything to the vanishing point. It starts a little wonky. That's better. Good enough. Alright. As you can tell, it does not have to be perfect. Alright, now we're going to do the one-point perspective part. Every point on these shapes has to have a line that leads to the vanishing point. As you can tell, the circle doesn't have lines, so we'll go to the very edge. So this one will only have 2 lines. Let's start with that one. So I'm going to line up my ruler with the vanishing point. I'm going to go right to the edge of the circle, hold down your ruler so it doesn't move, and draw a line. I'm going to do the same thing on the other side. Vanishing point, I can just see it in the edge of the circle I can just see. Hold down that ruler and draw your line. There you go. Now it looks like it's vanishing into the distance. Let's move on to the triangle. So I'm going to line up the vanishing point with this corner, draw a line. Now this one's going to have 3 lines because see this point? You can see that from the vanishing point as well. And then this will finish up this shape. That looks pretty cool. Alright, let's do the rectangle. So line up the corner of the rectangle with the vanishing point. Draw that line. We'll need one here also because you can see that. And then this one right here. Now there's something different about this shape than the others, and it's got another corner over here. We're not going to do this one because the line would go through the shape. If you were doing like transparent shapes, I guess you could do that, but it's just going to look really confusing. So let's just not do that.
If any line goes through the shape, you don't draw it. Alright, now the tricky one, the star. Start at one side and just go across. There's one line. So for this one, we're also going to draw a line to these little corners that are inside of the star if it doesn't cut through the star. That's why this one's tricky. It's got more lines. Alright, so this one, see, yep, just barely. Alright, so this area is a little tricky. Watch what I do here. So I'm going to connect the vanishing point to this corner of the star, but I'm going to stop right here. I'm not going to go through the actual front of the star. So there you can see it kind of tucks behind. Pretty neat. That really adds a lot to the drawing, I think. And same thing with this point here. Looks like you'll just be able to see a tiny bit. Make sure your pencil's nice and sharp. There, I think that turned out really nice. Very cool. Alright, so now you get to use your imagination. This is a non-objectional art. Sorry, non-objective. I keep calling it the wrong name. So let's add some other shapes, some checkerboards, some lines. We're going to just fill this thing full of weird stuff and make it look really interesting and make it look like these things are coming out at us from the distance. So check out what I do here in time lapse.
And here is my finished, non-objective, one-point perspective artwork. Hope you guys have a blast creating this, and I will see you guys next time in the art room.